everybody. Welcome to ANN. I'm Ren Butler, and I just want to present briefly a little talk about Joseph Campbell's monomyth. What Campbell discovered through his exhaustive study of world mythology is that the same patterns occur the world over, from the most humble fairy tale to the grandest spiritual philosophy. There's a basic pattern of descent, of struggle. Begins with kind of normal life ordeals, and then passing tests, and then coming back into the day world. And certainly a grand story like The Lord of the Rings really follows that pattern, right? They begin with the innocence of the Shire, and they end up back in the innocence of the Shire. And what this monomyth really describes is the descent in the inner archaeological quest to explore our own psyches. Now, I'm a little uncomfortable with the term hero's journey, and the way that I've dealt with that is I usually say the hero or heroine's journey, but it's not a completely satisfactory response. It's the inner hero within us. So that is for both women and men. It's the active, dynamic part of the psyche, which would usually be personified in male forms, but that's just as important within women's psyches as men's. However, there are many examples of dying and reviving goddesses as well, like Inanna, like Persephone. And so, this isn't just sort of a masculine or yang process. Now, I will talk specifically about how Campbell's work dovetails with the discoveries of Stanislav Grof. Grof was the foremost researcher in psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy, and was able to come to discover this expanded cartography of the psyche, which includes the biographical layer, the personal unconscious, then the perinatal layers, which include the 4 different stages of labor, birth and death, that's the perinatal layer, and then these transpersonal realms. And it's interesting that Stan and Christina Grof were close friends with Joseph Campbell. Christina Grof had been a student of Campbell's at Sarah Lawrence College in New York, and Christina had had many years of Kundalini experience that started, I believe, when she first gave birth, and also with her guru Muktananda connection, Shaktipat with him. And Campbell said to her, I have a friend out in California who is doing experientially what I am talking about in a mythological way. And he recommended that she come out and meet Stan Grof, and she did a month-long with Stan Grof at Esalen, and then after that, they became involved and were married. So really interesting connection there. So this is the perinatal layer. Many of you are familiar with this, and it's sort of this connection with the outer 4 planets. So the overall direction of the perinatal sequence, this layer of the unconscious, which is about the final months of gestation, then the beginning of labor, then the driving propulsion through the birth canal, and then the crowning and completed birth, is descent into the underworld, a first-hand confrontation with disowned and repulsive elements of human nature, with mortality and death, followed by a return to the day world of society, renewed and transformed. And this isn't a one-time process. We can't work through our perinatal material in one session. It's a series or a sequence of sessions where we face this part of it and that part of it, and gradually we're able to surrender to more and more intense levels of experience until we complete it. So this pattern forms the basis also of the hero or heroine's journey discovered by the mythologist Joseph Campbell. The universal spiritual pattern, or monomyth, which he describes, reflects in mythological language The passage of the fetus as it leaves the security of the womb descends down and through the birth canal and then out into new life. It also mirrors the process of the adult ego facing this material. Call to adventure, and then this sort of descent into the underworld, and then coming back to the day world in this monomyth. This also is not a one-time journey. This is basically a depiction of one good perinatal session, an LSD-assisted therapy or a breathwork session. And we may have to do this a number of times before we complete the process. But there is also a kind of a meta overview where our healing process takes us down into the underworld for an extended period of time. Obviously, we're not facing the worst of it in every minute of the day. But as our healing becomes more complete, our capacity to come back into normal society, to give back, to contribute, to make a positive contribution to the people around us, our communities, our families, our neighbors, and our world community is increased. So these two levels of experience, the obstetric and the archetypal mythological, are inseparably blended in the human psyche. When journeyers access good womb memories, which Grof called basic perinatal matrix 1, this union with the mother in utero, they have a sense of blissful existence, security, and belonging in a pristine cosmic realm which transcends evil and conflict. This would be like in The Lord of the Rings, the innocence of Hobbiton. And this is the innocence and security of the ordinary world stage in Campbell's Monomyth. As individuals in holotropic states relive the onset of labor, which Grof calls basic perinatal matrix 2, the compression of the uterine walls, but the cervix still closed, they often have images of descending into a whirlpool, a maelstrom or underworld, being engulfed inside a whale or attacked by a giant octopus or tarantula. These painful experiences encompass Campbell's stages of the call to adventure, crossing the threshold, approach to the inmost cave, and the belly of the whale in the hero or heroine's journey through the underworld. When journeyers are working through material from the dynamic stage of labor, which Grof calls the basic perinatal matrix 3 or BPM III, they pass through intense episodes of death-rebirth struggle. These experiences correspond to the allies and enemies, tests and ordeals, temptation, and abyss stages in Campbell's sequence. There are a few different versions of these little maps that people have done. They may not exactly correspond to this one. And finally, people who relive the moment of crowning and delivery in their inner archaeological quest, which is Grof's basic perinatal matrix 4, enjoy scenes of ecstatic rebirth, explosive liberation, and emergence into divine light. These parallel Campbell's stages of the gifts of the goddess, resurrection, revelation, reward, atonement, transformation, the road back, return with elixir, and freedom to live in his passage of the hero or heroine's journey. And here's a really great example of it. The nice graphics. So these would be the holotropic experiences, altered state experiences, and then these other ones would be sort of, you could say, the beginning of a session and the integration phase of a session, you could say, in a psychedelic session. And here's finally another one. What I wanted to add to that is that we're in a very exciting stage of human evolution. As I've mentioned in the class before, up until recently, all the artists and mystics within a certain area, geographical area, and a certain time in history would seem to have the same goddesses and gods and hells and heavens appear to them. And so you see the same kind of art from different times in history in the same part of the world. Grof makes the comment in When the Impossible Happens, his book, that the partitions in the collective unconscious seem to have lifted. This is something new. And we now have access to the entire collective pantheon of humanity. And the kinds of material that surfaces in people's sessions, the goddesses, the gods, the archetypal terrains, seem fairly independent of people's culture or beliefs, culture of origin or beliefs. Atheists could have the same experiences as Japanese subjects school, brought up in the Zen system, or Shinto, or a Celtic Christian living in Ireland. And this is a wonderful insight and discovery vis-a-vis the problem of religious fundamentalism. Remember, there's a layer of each religion which is called exoteric, which is all about the rules and the rituals and the behaviors, and they help in some ways to keep the society functioning and keep things together. Not as important as many people think, because there's an innate goodness inside the human soul to begin with. But there's also a mystical or esoteric layer of each religion. And at the mystical level of each religion, the mystics can look at the passages written by mystics from other religions. They might use different words for God, goddess, but it's the same experience, and they will recognize the commonality. And at that level of direct personal experience, there's a great chance that people in different religions, different parts of the world, will be able to get along and see their similarity with other people, and see it as one human family. At the exoteric level, it seems like the differences are insurmountable. I mean, you're either a Jew or you're a Gentile, or you're a Christian or you're a pagan, or you're a Muslim or a infidel. These are absolute boundaries in these religions, and it makes it very hard for people to live together and see each other as human beings rather than demonizing other people. So mystical experience is the solution to the problem. Personal experience. Campbell also said that the only myth that matters now is the myth of the earth, the globe, the planet Earth. We're all one human family, and we have to make it work on this spaceship Earth that we're on. We're going to sink or swim together. So I hope you found that helpful.